Hi. I remember the smell of that afternoon. It was crisp, mid-October air with that kind of chill that clings to your sleeves. The sky hung overcast, but not heavy, just quiet. I was in the garage, tightening the hinges on a storage cabinet, something I'd been putting off for months. The kind of simple, forgettable task you do when life feels normal. She came out in her usual weekend outfit, leggings, hoodie, her hair in that lazy bun she wore when she didn't care about being seen. "Hey," she said, car keys already in hand. "I told you, right? I'm helping Gina move today." "Gina, right." I nodded, wiping my hands on a rag. "Need help?" She laughed, not in a mocking way, at least not that I caught at the time. "No, it's mostly just packing boxes. I'll be back by dinner." I remember thinking she looked beautiful in that effortless kind of way. The way someone looks when they're not trying. I almost told her, but I didn't. I just nodded again, and she backed out of the driveway. I didn't think about it much after that. I trusted her. We'd been married for 6 years, together for 10. I thought we were solid. Not perfect, no one is, but the kind of solid that comes from years of growing together. I didn't check her location, didn't call to confirm, didn't even second-guess the story. That day, I grilled a couple steaks, cleaned the kitchen, watched the game with a beer. It was boring, domestic, the kind of Saturday I thought meant stability. She came home after 9. Said they ran late. "You wouldn't believe how much crap Gina's been hoarding," she said, shaking her head and kicking off her sneakers by the door. We found a box of her college essays. She made me read one out loud. We were laughing so hard. I smiled. I believed her. I remember now. She hugged me from behind while I was at the sink, kissed the side of my neck. "Thanks for holding down the fort," she whispered. And I felt proud, like I'd done something valuable just by staying home and being her anchor. I didn't know then what that hug actually meant. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was habit. I don't know anymore. The crack didn't come until 3 weeks later. We were at a small get-together, a dinner party hosted by some mutual friends. Nothing fancy, just wine, music, conversation. She was in the kitchen chatting with a woman I'd never met before. They were laughing, deep into some story, and I was walking by with a glass of Cabernet when I heard it. "No, seriously," the woman said between laughs. "Thank your husband for letting us borrow you. Gina couldn't have pulled it off without your wife." Then she looked up at me and smiled. And my wife froze. Just for a second. A flicker, like someone had pulled a curtain open too fast. She turned and forced a laugh. "He's the best," she said, her voice higher than usual. "Right, babe?" "Sure," I said, smiling politely. But something inside me tightened. The woman kept talking, but I wasn't listening. "Gina couldn't have pulled it off without your wife." That's what she said. Not, "couldn't have moved without your wife." Not, "so thankful for your wife's help." No, "borrow you." That's a strange phrase, isn't it? I didn't say anything that night. I played the part. I smiled, made small talk, even drove us home while she dozed off in the passenger seat. But something had shifted. That night, after she went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table for over an hour, staring at the salt shaker. Just thinking. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was confused. Curious, maybe, and a little afraid of what that curiosity might uncover. The next morning, I asked her how Gina was settling in. She blinked. "Gina? Oh yeah, fine. Still unpacking." "Why?" "Just wondering. That friend of hers from the dinner party said you were a lifesaver." She poured her coffee too fast. Spilled a bit. "Yeah, I told you. I helped pack." But she said, "Thank your husband for letting us borrow you." That's a weird way to put it. There was a pause, just long enough to notice. She shrugged. You know how people talk. Overdramatic. But her hand trembled slightly when she picked up the mug. That was the beginning. The next few weeks, the way she'd glance at her phone and flip it face down. The slight changes in her scent, same perfume, but stronger, like she'd reapplied at midday. Little things. A new charger in her car. The way she laughed a little too hard at texts that came during dinner. The gym bag she suddenly took to work. I told myself I was imagining it. That I was spiraling. That I was turning into one of those husbands who ruins a good thing by chasing ghosts. But then one morning, I woke up earlier than usual. She was in the bathroom, doors slightly cracked. I heard her whispering. Not audibly. Not words I could make out. Just the cadence. Intimate. Careful. When she noticed me stirring, she ended the call. Claimed it was Gina. "She's having a rough time adjusting," she said. "Maybe I should check in on her." I offered. hoping for any flicker of truth. A hesitation. A correction. She smiled too easily. You're sweet. But no, she's embarrassed enough needing my help. That evening, while she was in the shower, I did it. I checked her phone. It was locked, of course. She never used to have a passcode. That in itself was new. But I remembered her birthday. It worked. The texts were clean, too clean. A few exchanges with Gina that read like someone had written them for an audience. Staged. I didn't believe them. But it wasn't the messages that caught me. It was her photos. She'd left her cloud sync on, and there, in the Recents album, was a picture she'd clearly forgotten to delete. Her, in jeans and a tank top, carrying a box. But not at Gina's apartment. I knew that place. It wasn't even in the same neighborhood. Behind her, a man I didn't recognize, tall, shaved head, sunglasses on indoors, grinned at her like he was in on a joke. His hand was resting on her lower back. Too familiar. The timestamp? The weekend she said she was helping Gina move. I stared at that photo for a long time. Not because it was definitive, not because I was shocked, but because I wasn't. It felt like realizing something you've known for months, but finally seeing it spelled out. The next day, I did something I thought I'd never do. I called Gina. We weren't close. I barely knew her, honestly. She answered on the third ring, chipper. Hey, everything okay? I played dumb. Yeah, sorry to bother you. Just wanted to say thanks for letting my wife help out. She said the move was brutal. Gina hesitated. Just for a beat. Oh, right. Yeah, totally. She was a lifesaver. There it was again. That word. Lifesaver. Not mover. Not friend. Lifesaver. I pressed gently. She didn't mention where you ended up moving to. I was trying to picture it. Another pause. Oh, I'm just off Lincoln. Near the pharmacy. Not true. I knew that much from the photo alone. That building wasn't anywhere near Lincoln. I thanked her and hung up. Then I did what I knew I had to do. I hired someone. Private investigator. Discreet. Professional. I handed over what little I had. A copy of the photo, the man's face, a guess at the building, and asked for one thing. The truth. It took 4 days. I still remember where I was when I got the call. Sitting in my truck, parked outside a hardware store. The guy's voice was calm. Almost too calm, like he'd done this 100 times and knew what I was about to feel. She's been seeing him for a few months, he said. Name's Aaron. Divorced. Works as a freelance designer. They meet at his place, building off Fremont, not Lincoln. Same building in your photo. She's been there 6 times in the past 3 weeks. I didn't say anything. He went on. They don't meet during work hours. Always evenings or weekends. And they're not hiding it. Holding hands, laughing in the hallway. I've got photos, timestamps. I asked the question, though I already knew. Is he more than just a friend? There was a pause. Yes. I'm sorry. I thanked him, hung up, and sat there for a long time. You'd think it would be rage. Or heartbreak. Maybe even denial. But it wasn't. What I felt was hollow. Like someone had scooped something out of me and replaced it with silence. She came home that night like nothing had changed. Kissed my cheek. Asked what I wanted for dinner. I said nothing. Just watched her move around the kitchen. Comfortable. Relaxed. She didn't know I knew. Not yet. But she would. And I was going to make sure the truth came from her mouth, not mine. Because if there's one thing betrayal teaches you, it's patience. The night I asked her, it wasn't a trap. It wasn't dramatic. No raised voice. No accusation. Just a quiet Tuesday. Both of us sitting on the couch, our plates balanced on our laps, a movie playing in the background. I waited until the credits rolled, until the last bite of dinner was gone. Then I turned to her and said, "You've been spending a lot of time helping Gina." She didn't flinch. Didn't miss a beat. Yeah, she's still settling in. I nodded. Funny thing. I ran into her last week. That got her. A twitch at the corner of her mouth. The briefest flicker of panic in her eyes. She tried to recover. Oh, she didn't mention it. She wouldn't, I said. I asked where she moved. She said Lincoln. A longer pause this time. Then, yeah, it's near there. I just said Fremont because. I didn't say Fremont, I interrupted. There was silence. Long and brittle. She looked at me, finally, really looked, and I saw it. The recognition. The fear. The moment she realized the stage lights were on, and she had no script. What are you saying? I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. I'm saying I know. About Aaron. About the visits. The building off Fremont. I know. She sat very still. Not crying. Not angry. Just still. And then, like it cost her something, she said, "How long?" Long enough. There it was. No denial. No excuses. Just those two words. How long? That's when I knew she wasn't surprised. She wasn't caught off guard. She was just caught. She exhaled. Slowly. Looked down at her hands like she didn't recognize them anymore. And then she said something I'll never forget. I didn't mean for it to happen. I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty, just the irony. How many stories begin with that line? As if betrayal was something that tripped and fell into your lap. I needed someone who saw me, she continued. Someone who wasn't just. She didn't finish that sentence. But I knew what she meant. Someone who wasn't you. I didn't get angry. I didn't stand up or throw anything. I just said, "You could have told me you were unhappy. I didn't want to hurt you." That, right there, that was the part that cut deeper than any lie. Because hurting me quietly, behind my back, was somehow kinder in her mind than telling the truth out loud. I stood up, walked to the window. It was raining. Of course it was. She asked, "What now?" And I turned and said, "Now? You pack a bag, and you go stay with Gina, or Aaron, or whoever else you've been using to avoid the mirror." She didn't argue, didn't scream. She just got up and went to the bedroom. I didn't watch her pack. I couldn't. I just sat there, listening to drawers open and close. Zippers. Footsteps. And then the front door clicked shut. It was over. Except it wasn't. Not really. Because the next morning, I got a message. Not from her. From Gina. A short text. No greeting. No pleasantries. Just, "Hey. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't know she told you she was helping me. She wasn't. But thank you for letting her use your trust. I know you didn't deserve that." That was it. But that slip, the way she worded it, broke something final in me. She used my wife. Used her. That's what Gina said. And it clicked. All of it. My wife wasn't just lying to me. She was being someone else for someone else. A mask worn for another performance. And I'd been the silent prop holding the curtain open. She was the one who betrayed me, yes. But I had allowed it, by believing every lie, every excuse, every late return, and staged text. I gave her the benefit of the doubt so many times, there wasn't any doubt left. Just benefit. Just trust. Just silence. The kind of silence that lets people lie comfortably in your presence. I didn't text Gina back. There was nothing to say. I changed the locks that afternoon. Took her name off the accounts. Called the lawyer I'd quietly contacted weeks earlier. And then, I sat in the same kitchen where she once kissed me from behind and told me she was just helping a friend, and I cried. Not for her. Not even for the marriage. But for the man I was, so certain, so willing, so proud of being the anchor in her storm. Only to realize I'd been dragged under with every wave she swore she was riding out. She said she needed someone who saw her. I see her now, clearly, and I'll never unsee it. Bye-bye.